the clock is already ticking to what many are calling Ghana's 10th test yet in the group stage of this year's FIFA World Cup. In less than 12 hours, the Black Stars face England in a high-stakes encounter that could shape their path to the knockout rounds. A win would significantly strengthen their qualification hopes. Head coach Karas Kires insists his side is fully locked in, stressing that England's status as tournament's favourite will not shift their focus. He says fans should expect a fiercely competitive and entertaining match, as he addressed journalists earlier.
The last game was resilient, was played with discipline, with full concentration, with only one thing in the mind, fight for the win. As I always say, we have to find a way to win, find a way to win. Panama was one game, now it's a different game. We're going to introduce a couple of different players on the starting lineup, and my favorite player, which is the team, I hope will be better. It will be better. We able to progress with the player that you mentioned, or whatever it is, another player. The only one player that I'm concerned that progress and be better, it is the team. So I am full confident that the starting lineup tomorrow will be strong, enthusiastic, with a lot of motivation to get the result that we need to move forward.
Well, good news for the Black Stars is the return of Deputy Captain Thomas Partey, who is back in contention after missing the opening win over Panama. However, there is still uncertainty over goalkeeper Lawrence Atizigi, with medical checks expected to determine his availability.
We're going to make a decision tomorrow, start still in treatments. Today was much better. But the decision will be made tomorrow after the final medical assessment tomorrow. What can we expect tomorrow? Trust me, huge entertainment on the pitch. Huge entertainment. That's our job, to create entertainment. We belong to the entertainment business. This is our duty and our obligation on behalf of Ghana to create entertainment. The English team, they're going to do the same. We're going to fight, we're going to play, we're going to enjoy. It will be a wonderful game that I guarantee to you will be in the memories and hearts of people after the game finish.
Well, that's Black Stars coach Carlos Kires there. Well, the Black Stars will take to the pitch in Boston at 8 p.m. Ghana time for a defining moment in their campaign. Final preparations were completed yesterday, with the squad appearing calm but sharply focused. Let's now cross over to Boston, where our correspondent Daniel Crampton has been tracking developments from the camp of the Black Stars. Daniel, what is the latest from the Black Stars camp?
It's much the guys are just getting ready to go that bus and get to the stadium. Yesterday, obviously, was a press conference, pre-match press conference, and the head coach spoke a lot. Even before that, at the mandatory training session, the communication team of the Black Stars allowed journalists to speak to the three captains, Jordan and Thomas Partey, the Mexer. And Jordan and you said the only thing they can promise is that they're going to leave everything on the pitch so as to not regret when the 90 minutes. So Thomas Partey also spoke about the fact that he's happy to play with the team and have a look to this focus of the importance of keeping focus of this game. Yes, we fought the first game against Panama, but this is for us to play champions in round of 32. That's what the boys are. The team is looking forward to do later today.
We've got a few hours to kick off tonight. How are preparations going ahead of tonight's encounter?
Yes, it's just basically keeping it calm as possible. The main preparations were done yesterday with the training session. Getting up for today this morning is just about keeping calm and making sure that 100% focus is maintained. Then they'll go that bus to the stadium where the fans will have an opportunity of seeing them. But yes, it's a lot of pressure. It's England. It's the toughest team on paper. Right. We know that this is the fixture that most people were looking forward to when the draw was done. And the players share that sentiment. If you've spoken to a number of them during the days leading up to this encounter, and they share the same sentiments with the fans. When that call was done, it was the England team that they were looking forward to. Mainly because most of these players are very well known in world football. Some of the guys in the Black Stars have played against them at club level, and there's an opportunity for them to come up against them at international level. So, yes, the players are looking forward to it. They are truly trying to contain that calmness, which has helped, or that win against Panama has helped the team keep that calmness and focus ahead of this game, knowing that avoiding defeat play a huge role in looking at this in the round of 32.
We've met England once, drawn with them. We've kept a clean sheet in our last World Cup with Panama. I want to believe that that is all building up to the optimism within the camp. They are believing that they could grind a result tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, not just the players. So the players are professional. They're not going to give too much away in terms of conversations. But when you speak to the fans in and around Boston, look, they are really confident. And the fact that Ghana has never lost a second game at a World Cup, it gives them, so it's sort of a good omen. Also, I spoke to a fan earlier today who spoke about the fact that it rained in that first game against Panama in Toronto, and it's been raining since yesterday afternoon. The rain just stopped a couple of minutes ago, so it sort of gives it a good omen. But the fans are confident when you speak to them, especially from the way the Black Stars ended the last game. It gives them that confidence that the team can go out today and get the job done. And when you listen to Carlos Queiroz also, it seems like he has a game plan. And if you listen to him, he made a very key statement when he says his first 11 will be strong enough to compete. And that speaks to the fact that he is very well aware that in his 2 games with the Black Stars, they haven't started well. Against Wales, they didn't start well in that friendly match. They built on it in that second half. Similar thing happened against Panama in the first half. We were poor, but in the second half, as the changes were made, the team got better. It looks like this is a game where we need to start really well because the English could punish us if we don't. We have that jerky start. So he's very well aware of that, and he's looking forward to put out a first 11 that can compete from the get-go.
Cranton, all the way from Boston, USA. Thank you very much. And back here in Accra, I'm joined in the studio by Lawrence Baidu, who is with Joy Sports. Odate Lamte is a former Black Stars player. He's joining us on Zoom. Nana Jaman is a football coach and a sports analyst as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I want to begin from the studio and speak to Lawrence with Joy Sports. Lawrence, looking at the match that we are anticipating tonight, this is our biggest test yet at the World Cup. How should we approach this game, you think?
Look, lots of expectation from Ghanaians, especially if you've seen the team play that game against Panama, and hopefully you've also seen those rewards we've churned out, or those results we've churned out in that second round of fixtures as far as our World Cup appearances are concerned. We've played 4 in that period since our debut in 2006, and in all from 2006, 2010, 2014, and 2022, we've not lost any. We've won 2 and drawn 2, so it tells of a good omen. As far as this team is concerned, look, we will go into this game not as favourites. They are second favourites as far as this game is against England is concerned. Because look, as far as the ranking is concerned, they are 4th on the FIFA ranking. We are 65th, and that was courtesy of our win against Panama. So obviously, expectations are that we are second favourites. If we are to get anything out of this game, yes, we've been jerky. We've not really had a good start as compared to the games we had in previous World Cups. It's the struggle that we are going to go into, but that first 15 minutes will be very crucial for the Black Stars. How we are able to keep England out of shape, how we are able to stop them from building in that midfield, and it is the reason why many feel that having Thomas Partey in this team could be the key, because England's midfield, it's not just a midfield. They have one man in an addition, which is Harry Kane, who drops deep to join the likes of Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, and Jude Bellingham as far as their build-up is concerned. So if you are going to go with a 2-man midfield, they are going to overrun you. We need to be conservative in how we approach this game, soak the pressure, and try to capitalize on movements just as we did in that second half against Panama. But the only thing will have to be the fact that when we get into the final third, the decision making needs to be better.
Lawrence, don't go yet. Let me go on to Zoom and bring in Nana Jaman, who is a football coach. Also joining the conversation on the telephone lines is Odate Lamte. He's a former Black Stars player. Gentlemen, welcome once again. Nana, this is a crucial encounter that we're going to face in our group game tonight. And of course, we might take solace in the fact that the last time these two teams met in 2011, we shared this course 1-1. Will that be a motivating factor heading into our match with England this evening?
No, I don't think it should be a motivating factor. I was at that game at Wembley in 2011, and England scored early. It was really a friendly by all accounts because the English side basically toyed with us for the next 80 or so minutes, and it was just the luck of the draw that Asamoah Gyan was able to get an equaliser from inside the 18-yard box. But throughout that entire game, we didn't have possession. The English team played around us as if we weren't there, but eventually we got a draw. I don't think there's any motivation to take from that. It's a complete different team that we're looking at. At that point in 2011, we had a team that knew themselves. Where we are now is a team that doesn't know themselves yet. They are getting to know themselves. I think we have to recognise that, look, this is only going to be the second match for the coach himself. This is going to be the second time that he's going to see the Black Stars live. When we faced Wales, he was not there, so he did not see what was happening. He watched from the TV screens just like I and you did. This is going to be his second time. Granted, he's able to fine-tune things from what took place in Panama, but look, if we're going to take the approach where we're going to soak up the pressure, we will concede goals. There's no two ways about it.
Right.
We must stop Harry Kane. He is probably the best striker in the world right now. So he must be stopped.
Right.
I don't know if we're going to use two central defenders to mark him or what, but he must be stopped. Their midfield is formidable. We don't know if the likes of Saka will come on. We don't know if the likes of Kobe Menu will come on. And these are all boys that make England what they are. It's the African players that make England what they are. They're the ones who really pose the biggest threat to us, to be honest with you. So I don't think it's about sitting back and soaking up pressure, because it will lead to forced errors, and that will lead to us conceding goals. I think we have to match them boot for boot. That's what I think we have to do. I'm not suggesting total open play, because that's suicide. But we certainly mustn't sit back and just absorb pressure. This is not Panama, and certainly this is not Wales either.
And my next question will be, how do you stop a player like Harry Kane? Because he's not the only potent player in that England team. Of course, he's their star man, though.
Yeah, obviously he's not the only one. It'll be very difficult. I would suggest man-to-man marking. You're going to have someone who's going to follow him even to the touchline when they have the drink break. You're going to have the defender there with him while he's having a drink. The defender's having a drink. Don't leave him. Don't let him out of your sight, because he's deadly, especially from set plays, corners and the likes. He'll come from nowhere into the box and head the ball into the back of the net. So I think we've got to man mark him. It'll be up to the coach what happens on the end of the day.
Right.
But, you know, you could almost say that there's about 4 or 5 players that need man marking too. Such is the nature of the game. But we must ensure that we are creative when we get the ball, and that in terms of the transition, it's not just one player running away with the ball and the rest of his colleagues behind him.
Right.
Everyone's got to move in harmony in that attack in order to make that attack count. We've got to be very focused. We've got to be cohesive. We've got to be tactical and technically disciplined. And we must take our chances when they arrive. Pickford, to me, is going to be in goal, and he's one of the weakest links in the English team, that goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He's a very weak link, very weak link. And I suggest, even though no one's going to take it, that we must be pressing them very high up the park, because also O'Reilly, who plays left back, a young boy, he's also quite weak in that position as well, especially when Pickford rolls the ball out to him to start the attack from defence, he flusters a bit. He's slow in decision making. And more often than not, he makes the wrong decision when he gets pressured, trying to play it back to the goalkeeper, who's also facing oncoming pressure. So I think we must pressure them. That, you know, from the start to the finish, it must be continual pressure to force the mistake, for us to get behind them and put the ball in the back of the net. Anything else, I don't think it's going to work.
No, don't go yet. Odate Lamte is a former player of the Black Stars. Welcome to the program. If you could offer the coach, Carlos Queiroz, any advice heading into tonight's game against England, what would it be?
It's going to be a difficult match this evening. Watching us playing against Panama, maybe the first 45 minutes was very difficult. If we are going to do the same against England, I think we'll suffer. So what we have to do is maybe we have to, I don't know the system is going to play today, but I think we have to start with maybe 4-5-1 and study them maybe the first 20 or 25 minutes and then see what we can do. On paper, England look perfect, but in football, anything can happen. I won't be surprised if we are able to win this match. I won't be shocked if we lose to this match as well.
That means anything can happen in this match, you say?
100%, 100%.
We've seen the return of Deputy Captain Thomas Partey. There's a lot of controversy surrounding his involvement in this team. In fact, he was not even part of the lineup of our first game against Panama. What changes would he bring to our game of play now that he's returned to the team?
Well, it's a plus. Thomas Partey is joining the team, but it's also a problem as a player when he did not start with the team. You know, that's where maybe the problem is going to be if he have maybe the legs to play the 90 minutes or maybe 80 minutes in the game. But it's a plus. I mean, we experienced that Partey has. I mean, he should be able to carry this team on his shoulder. But then, as I said, because he did not start our first match, coming into the second match, direct, hopefully, it's not going to be a problem for the team, or maybe they have a week to train together so they may know what they are going to do. Apart from that, I think it's a plus having Thomas Partey into the team.
Let's look at our opponents. England come in as the fourth highest ranked team in the world. They have world-class players. What should our approach be like if we are to grind a result? Of course, you've already mentioned that you will not be surprised if we win, neither would you if we lose. But of course, as Ghanaians, we're expecting a victory. Worst case scenario, a draw. How should we approach the game?
Well, watching England, I think I've followed England maybe for the past, let's say, 8 years now. They've been doing well. I think their last Euro there, they went to the quarterfinals, and then they went to the semi-finals, doing very well. And especially watching their first game against Croatia, I mean, they were excellent. First half, they were a bit dodgy. Even they conceded 2 goals. But second half, when they came and they did a bit changing, Rashford came in, and I mean, Saka also came in. The team looks solid. So if they are going to start like the way they start their second half against Croatia, against us, we are going to face problems. But as I said, our central midfielders are not experienced in this. This is their first time going to such a tournament. So they have to be very, very careful playing with experienced players like Harry Kane and then Bellingham. So they have to be very careful. But as I said, we have an experienced coach. It's just unfortunate that he hasn't been with the team for a long time now to study them, just 2 months before the World Cup. So that's what maybe the problem is. But then, as experienced as he is, I'm sure he has watched video, he has followed them so that he knows what he can do. So as I said, England is a solid team. To be honest with you, after what I saw against Croatia, I was happy and I like their style of play. It's just that we Ghanaians, we have to be very, very cautious. Very, very cautious today.
Odate Lamte, don't go yet. I still have Lawrence in the studio with me. He's with Joy Sports. Lawrence, Odate has drawn my attention to something that, I mean, a good team is not only a team that has a very good first starting lineup, but your bench has to be of quality as well. You look at the England bench in their game against Croatia, they were introducing the likes of Marcus Rashford and, Saka. These are important players, and they made a difference when they came on the pitch. Marcus scoring there as well. If we are to go far in this tournament, we definitely need a good bench. Do you think we have a good bench?
Obviously, you need a good bench. And from what I saw in the first game, if there's one thing that told me, or I realized, is the fact that we had people who came from the bench to change the game. So you talk about Brandon Thomas Asante, who came, rose off the bench, set up Caleb Jenchi for that goal. You have Christopher Bonsu-Bao, who played one of his best football season in the Saudi Pro League. You have Kwesi Sibo, who in time when you need him to break down the momentum of play, he's able to get that for you. So I believe we have a good enough bench to cause damage. Then again, it's about the experience these players have, because they've not really played together collectively. So that is where the challenge is. But then if you are being led by an experienced coach in Carlos Queiroz, who's been at Real Madrid, been at Manchester United, and know how to bring the spark out of players, how to guide players to get the best out of them, we should be able to grind results against teams as heavy as England. Look, this English team on paper look one of the most intimidating teams you would want to face if you take away France. They have players playing the Premier League, playing the Spanish La Liga, playing for top clubs as far as the world football is concerned. If you go by that, those figures or those personalities, you are not going to stand yourself a chance against them. However, there's a reason why you need players of character. You need players who are readily available, players who are willing to die on the pitch. And I think players, the Ghanaian players, both in the starting 11, both those on the bench, offer you that they are willing to prove a point, because you are looking at some of these players who have not really had a good season with their clubs. So this offers an opportunity to sell yourself out today, an opportunity to put yourself on the market, an opportunity to make your country proud, make everyone around you proud. And I thought for many of them, they are going to take that pitch knowing that this is a massive game for my career, and if I play well, it goes a long way to help me career-wise.
Dr. Lamto is suggesting that we begin with a 4-5-1 formation to be able to study the England team, and then we can transition to other types of formations. What formation do you think we can begin with to at least settle the boys and soak in the pressure?
Look, I wouldn't go anything different. It's just that in the 4-5-1 he talks about, there are different ways you can line up that. I would prefer a 4 at the back, yes, with your flat 3 in Thomas Partey, in Caleb Jenchi, and one of Kwesi Sibo or Elisha Owusu, preferably Elisha Owusu, because he offers you that energy. His passing is something to write home about. Look, and in your wings, you could probably, I wouldn't want to start Ernest Nuama, because when he plays from the right, he still has those rings of the ACL injury, so he plays with caution. Play Fatau Isaaku on the right wing. Let Antoine Semenyo operate from the left wing and leave Jordan up front. The reason why I say Jordan is, look, you're not going to see much of the ball, so you need players who could hold onto the ball. That is preferably the reason why I want Thomas Partey in the team. Preferably the reason why I want Jordan in the team, because he's going to win you those fouls up front. And knowing how Ghana have played during the World Cup qualifiers, we scored a staggering 8 goals from our World Cup qualification game. So it tells you from set pieces. So it tells you if there's one area we could thrive, set pieces could be a problem. I realize, or I reckon that Nana Jima mentioned Pickford being one of the weakest link in this English team. Look, on his good day, he's one of the best goalkeepers you don't want to play against. But then he has lapses, just like he mentioned. When it comes to set pieces, it could be all over the place, and it could. For a forward, you would want that kind of situation because you are able to pounce. So it is the reason why I want Jordan. Win those set pieces, we take advantage of them.
Right, don't go yet. Speaking of the deputy captain, Thomas Partey, he says that he's fully fit, focused and ready to play his part in Ghana's World Cup journey. And he says the squad understands the importance of tonight's clash and is determined to build on their opening victory. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm feeling good. We've been training good and everybody is ready. I think we are here to, try our best to compete with the rest of the teams. And I think preparation is key and I'm feeling okay.
So it's about the atmosphere in camp since the victory from Canada. How are the boys feeling and how much are you guys itching to go against England?
Yeah, I think the emotions at camp was really good from our first game, and everybody is here to enjoy. We are going to this game. We know we have to compete with the best players, and this is why we are here, to compete with the best players and also to learn and also to give our best.
Yeah, and then personally, obviously, you missed the first game. Does that make you even more eager to face England now?
Well, I think it's part of football. Things happen outside football that you cannot control. So for me now, I feel okay and I'm ready to play.
And Declan Rice, your former teammate, you're coming up against him. That should be some battle.
Yeah, I know it's not going to be easy. Very good players, and I'm happy to really play against him again.
So that is Deputy Captain of the Black Stars, Thomas Partey, there, saying that he is ready to lead his country against England later tonight. Nana Juman, we've been speaking about Thomas Partey. Times are plenty since his issue, the denial of visa to Canada, came up. Now he is going to be part, possibly, of the starting lineup tonight. He brings wealth of experience to the squad. How important is his inclusion in this team going to be for Ghana tonight?
Well, it depends how you look at it, because for me, if something isn't broken, there's no need for me to fix it. And if I bring Thomas Partey into the starting 11, then that means something was broken. And from what I saw in the Panama game, for the players that finished that game, those are the players that I would start against England. I wouldn't change anything else. For me, Thomas would be on the bench. Jordan would be on the bench as well. Sulemana would be on the bench too. And I'd start with those players that finished this game, because they gave the greater amount of energy and were more enthused about pursuing a goal that nobody believed would come. In fact, I almost missed the goal because I got up from the sofa because I totally lost hope. And I was now listening to the commentary as opposed to watching, because I couldn't watch anymore. And then the goal came. I turned around just in time to see Semenyo pass to Brandon, and Brandon skipped the tackle and pushed the ball across the face of the goal for Caleb to score. So this isn't going to be that type of game, and we have to be mindful of that. It's not going to be that type of game. I still question whether or not Thomas is really up to it. I mean, he sounds okay. I'm no psychiatrist, but look, if I'm facing the prospects of going to jail and for a long period of time, because look, he's probably looking at between 5 and 10. It's not going to be easy. I would be concerned about it. I would be worried about it. Every time I go to bed, it's going to be on my mind. It's not something that I can brush away. And I respect his resilience, and I respect the words he says. But I also have to look at the type of impact this could have on the team overall, because there's been so much noise around the party and this issue that I believe it's had a negative effect upon the squad overall. You've got players saying, we're going to win for party. Well, excuse me, I don't want you to win for party. You're here on Ghana national assignment. You must win for Ghana, not for party. That's something else. And that shows me that it's distracted some of the players, because to say this type of thing, it shouldn't come in. It shouldn't come in whatsoever. But anyway, I would keep him on the bench. And if I see the need to bring him in because there are gaps there through Declan and the likes, then I'll bring him in. But I wouldn't start with him, because I would have got the most out of those who finished the game. They're the ones who won the game for me. Clearly, if the coach had left those players on the field, we wouldn't have won. So that's the type of energy I need, the type of aggression I need, from those players who finished on the park and got us that 1-0 victory over Panama.
Odate Lamte is still with me on the phone. Odate, there are calls for our captain, Jordan Ayew, to be dropped to start from the bench in our game against England. In fact, Ghanaians voiced their opposition. If there's one player who was heavily criticized after our first game, it was our captain, Jordan Ayew. Do you think he should start from the bench?
Well, to answer your question, for me personally, not at all. Football is so broad, but everybody and his opinion.
Right.
If you want to enjoy Jordan, for what I've noticed, and I followed Jordan not to even when he was playing for Narnia before he went to whatever profession, he became professional. If you want to enjoy Jordan, play him as number 10. Jordan likes to hold ball. You see, play somebody who's a typical number 9 and play Jordan behind him. So like with this team, Fatao can start on the right, Semenyo, and then you play your number 9 and then play Jordan behind him. Because you see, the reason why he likes to fall down, maybe they like to kick him because he wants to hold onto the ball. And that's what most of number 10s, they do. You know, so as I said, football is broad and everybody is in opinion. I wouldn't bench Jordan in this squad. Start him and then see what will happen. And then, you take decision maybe after the next 60 minutes or so. But then I would prefer Jordan to start in this team.
Jordan turns 35 in September. There are calls that a team like Ghana Black Stars shouldn't have a 35-year-old being part of our attack. Is that not concerning for you, his age?
Not at all, no. Not at all. I mean, with experience that he has, and his experience is something that you can buy with money. I mean, Messi is old. Messi is going to be 39, he's playing. He's, top scorer in the competition now. So, you see, it depends on the team that you are in. You see, sorry to say, I think maybe the team that we are having at the World Cup now is not like the 2010, the 2016 that we went to the World Cup and all that. So maybe that's what is affecting him. But apart from that, if you have the likes of maybe the Steven Appiahs, the Asamoah Gyan and Suleiman Tari and Jordan is in, I'm sure that's where you see him. You know, so for me personally, I don't think, yes, I mean, I saw, you see, we have 3 types of supporters. I mean, like personally per se. I mean, I played before, I'm a coach now. And Ajimai, I've seen it all. We have supporters who just don't know the system and the tactical decision of a team. For them, Ghana win and then that's it. So if you are looking at that aspect, you say that, yeah, they should drop Jordan. But then as a typical coach or maybe as an ex-footballer, what I see Jordan offer the team is super. So we need him in the team, for sure.
Okay. Well, let's talk a bit more about the 3 Lions of England, because they appear to be treating Ghana's game as a very important fixture. We can now listen to their coach, Thomas Tuchel.
Away for tomorrow's lineup. Declan just mentioned one of the threats is the counter-attack, because Ghana plays with a lot of physicality. They play with a lot of speed, individual quality. They don't mind if they don't have so much of the ball, because they burst into high-speed attacks on the counter. They play very direct when they're on the ball. They're not shy to use long balls. They bring 4 or 5 players into the attack. So, yeah, it's a different approach, than the last match, but that's the beauty of it. I mean, we play World Cup, we play now different cultures, different national teams, and different approaches to the match, and it's on us to adapt and to bring our strengths and be respectful enough to adapt to the strengths of our opponent and make it a top performance from us, because that's what we need if we want to win.
Thomas Tuchel is the coach of the England national team. Lawrence, I saw you nodding your head when he was speaking. What did you agree with him?
Yeah, exactly. If you were listening earlier, I made mention the fact that we are a team that plays in transition. Look, soak up the pressure and turn up in moments. Exactly what he addressed from what he saw in our games against Wales and then against Panama. Exactly what they are going to try to stop, which is why I thought we don't need to play through the middle. Look, you need to stretch England through the flanks, and that is why you need Fatau Isaaku, you need Antoine Semenyo playing out on the wings. These are players who are direct, come with you at the ball, and are not shy of their markers or of their opponent. So if we are able to do that, if we are able to play through the flanks, attack as many as we can through the flanks, it could be problematic for England, and that will be what Thomas Tuchel and the side will be looking to avoid. I know the Black Stars are capable of doing it. For England, if you allow them too much, but as I mentioned, I don't agree with Coach Anajima when he says we should man-mark someone like Harry Kane. Look, he drops in middle, deep into the half, or his own half, picks up the ball. If you are man-marking him, you are going to create loads of space in that back line for you, and that is when the inverted runs of Noni Madueke, yes, and Anthony Gordon, or Bukayo Saka and Rashford will be causing problems for you, or even the late runs of someone as potent as Jude Bellingham could be causing problems for you. If you do man-mark Harry Kane, you are leading yourself to death.
Final one with Harry Kane. We've seen that almost all the big boys at the tournament show up. Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, Lionel Messi, Harry Kane in the first game, and in the second game, of course, he's seen his competitors. He would like to prove a point. So now that you're saying that we shouldn't man-mark him, how do we stop him?
Look, if you are going to play very well against Harry Kane, just don't give him those spaces. And that is not to say man-mark him. Don't allow him too much time to think on the ball. If you do, and Harry Kane is that kind of player, he doesn't necessarily have to be scoring to make an impact.
Right.
As I mentioned, when he drops deep, he creates a space for others to run in. Allow those midfielders to walk around him. Allow those midfielders to be working with him, to close him down whenever those passes, Declan Rice, in Jude Bellingham, in Elliot Anderson have the ball. Close the channels that will get the ball through to him. Don't allow him to drop deep. And when he's dropping deep, allow one of, if Thomas Partey starts, if Caleb Yonchi is the one you are going to entrust to do those dirty works for you, allow him to work with Harry Kane, but don't give him too much space on the ball. Okay,
we're wrapping up, but I want to pick your prediction quickly.
Look, I don't think Ghana will lose this game. We know draw for Ghana.
Thank you. Nana Jaman, we're wrapping up. Your prediction for this game?
Well, I can't tell you how many goals. I can't tell you how many goals. Look, my heart says we'll win, but my mind says we'll lose. I've got to be totally honest with you.
Oh, let's see what happens tonight. Nana Jaman is a football coach and a sports analyst. Thank you very much. Odate Lamte is still on the line. Odate, your prediction for tonight?
As I said, earlier on, of course, if we lose, I won't be shocked. If we win, I won't be surprised, to be honest with you. That's
what we say here in Ghana, that what can come, right?
That's it.
Thank you. Odate Lamte is a former Black Stars coach. Earlier we heard from Nanajiman, who is a football coach as well. A former Black Stars player, Odate Lamte. Nanajiman is a football coach and a sports analyst. Lawrence Bedu is with Joy Sports. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your expertise this afternoon. And back home here in Ghana, anticipation is already building. In Kumasi, supporters say they believe the Black Stars can rise to the occasion and shock England.
It's a massive win. Yeah, no doubt. Yes, it's a massive win. That is why I have nothing to say again. Yeah, for sure. Are you sure? Oh, why not? Looking at the players compared to Ghana, we are not afraid at all. I'm telling you the truth. Wow. Yes, we should have won this match, and I'm telling you, it's a fact. Done deal. Massive win for Ghana. I think Ghana will win by 2-1. At least draw is okay. I think draw is okay. When we get draw, we can qualify to the next match. When you get draw, when you beat Croatia, then you move to the next stage. So I think Ghana will win. Don't be on our side, no. Ghana will win. Surely. I believe in God.
Away from the Black Stars, electricity and water consumers across the country are set to pay more for utility services from July 1st after a fresh tariff adjustment announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC. The commission has raised electricity tariffs by 3.49% and water tariffs by 0.85% under its quarterly review mechanism, which tracks changes in key economic and operational indicators. The adjustment comes at a time of easing inflation and a slight drop in natural gas prices. We have more on that, but when we return from the break, we will delve into that. Don't go anywhere.
Innovation, research, and engineering are driving solutions for a sustainable future. The University of Energy and Natural Resources, in collaboration with Joy News, presents the International Conference on Energy and Engineering 2026 under the theme Engineering the Future, Energy, Agriculture, and Infrastructure Innovations towards Climate Resilience and Sustainable Development. The conference comes up from 30th September to 2nd October. Ahead of the International Conference on Energy and Engineering, join us this Friday on the AM show as we discuss how engineering, technology, and innovation can help Ghana respond to climate change challenges, from strengthening agriculture and food security to building sustainable systems, with insights from Dr. Naomi Kumi, Senior Lecturer, Department of Atmospheric and Climate Science, Vice Dean of Students, UNM, Dr. Kwabena Atakra, Senior Lecturer, Department of Horticulture and Crop Production, UNE, and Dr. Ebenezer Kojo-Siabi, Research Fellow and Lecturer, Earth Observation Research and Innovation Center, Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. On the AM show, live on Joy News.
Welcome back to the pause. Let's take you back to our earlier story where electricity and water consumers across the country are set to pay more for utility tariffs from July 1st after a fresh tariff adjustment announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC. The commission has raised electricity tariffs by 3.49% and water tariffs by 0.85% under its quarterly review mechanism, which tracks changes in key economic and operational indicators. The adjustment comes at a time of easing inflation and a slight drop in natural gas prices. However, the PURC maintains the increases are necessary to safeguard the financial stability of utility providers and ensure consistent service delivery. We have been speaking to Ghanaians on their reaction to the increases. But first, data and research analyst at Joy News, Caleb Ziblima, is joining me in the studio to break down the factors that are contributing to this upcoming adjustment. Caleb, tell us more.
Yes, Ken. So we know that the electricity is going to go up by 3.49%, while water is going to go up by 0.85%. Now, the PURC in every quarter, they come out with an adjustment to the tariffs we pay because of how the energy sector has been, or the utility sector is going, particularly the energy sector, because usually the utilities complain that the price we pay for our electricity does not reflect how much it costs to generate the electricity to the homes. So there's a mechanism adopted by PURC, and also one of the IMF in conditionality that we implement the quarterly mechanism, because for a time that mechanism was not being adhered to, especially around the 2024 time. So the IMF is very strict when it comes to us implementing the quarterly adjustments for utility prices. Now, we do this again because of the way the sector is and to ensure that the debt within the sector is manageable. And then every few months, depending on the factors, and we'll get to the factors, the about 4 main factors on the next slide. We have inflation, we have the exchange rates, we also have the energy generation mix. So these are the main factors that PURC uses to determine how much we pay when we go and buy electricity or water every quarter. Now, the interesting thing is that if you look at the PURC statement, the 4 main factors were the exchange rates, the inflation rates, the hydro mix or the generation mix, because we know about 79% of Ghana's generation capacity comes from thermal, and about 20% comes from hydro. That's the Akosombo Dam, the Pong Dam, and some other smaller dams. So the generation mix, the exchange rates, we have the inflation, and then the price of natural gas or fuel prices. Now, somewhere last year, I think the third quarter of 2025, these same benchmarks or these same indicators were used. And at the time, when you do the math, it pointed to a reduction in utility tariffs. That's, I think, the third quarter of 2025. However, PRC came out and increased the tariffs in that quarter. Now, the justification of PRC was that there are some legacy debts within the system that they needed to clear. So around last year, that's why PRC decided to increase the tariffs. Now, this time around, it's a very similar issue, because if you look at the factors that PRC used, for the generation mix, it's constant, so there's no change there. And for the exchange rates, we've seen a marginal depreciation according to the PRC for 11.19 in the second quarter to about 11.2 in the third quarter of 2026. So there's a marginal depreciation of the cedi there, which means it's going to cost more. Again, the second one is inflation. Now, inflation is actually projected to reduce in the third quarter from 4.17% in the second quarter to 3.43%. So if inflation is coming down, it's supposed to pull down the price you pay for utilities. And then finally, the price of fuel, so natural gas. The price of liquid fuels are not supposed to be part of the utility adjustments, just natural gas. And for the price of natural gas, that's also going to reduce from $8 to now $7.9. So the main factor that goes into the tariff structure, three of them are either the same or they've reduced. Is only the exchange rate factor that's going to depreciate a base from 11.19 to 11.2. So the math should not point to a very high, steep, or an increase in utility tariffs at the end of the day. But then PRC has announced this adjustment. So based on what PRC puts out, it means majority of the increments is coming from the exchange rate factor, because that's the only factor within the four indicators, according to the PRC document, that's supposed to go up. All the other indicators have either reduced or they've held steady. So we are speaking to PRC and we'll get understanding of why exactly the price of electricity is going to go up, despite majority of the indicators actually coming down.
We'll be getting reactions from them pretty shortly, but the final question to you is that there's been discussions around tariffs for EV charging. What more can you tell us about this development?
Yes, so we know Ghana is trying to adopt, a zero carbon emission framework, and then as part of that, there's supposed to be more adoption of EVs within the system. Now, we know also that PRC has been working on the EV system for a while now, and then in the coming months, we should see some implementation very soon.
Caleb Ziblim is a Joy News data and research analyst. Thank you always, Caleb. Well, let's go on to Zoom right now, because Dr. Eric Obute is joining us. He is the Director of Research and Corporate Affairs at the PRC. Dr. Obute, welcome to the program. What specifically influenced the PRC's decision to increase tariffs this quarter?
Thank you very much. And I think Ziblim got it spot on. We have those four factors. Basically, the exchange rate contributes about 60% of the contributes to the tariff, about 60% of that. Now, if we take the major tariff takes care of both the capital expenses and the operational expenses. But in the minor tariff, the one we are doing right now on a quarterly basis, we consider only the operational expenses. So the operational expenses are the ones that Ziblim has mentioned, and exchange rate alone contributes about 60% of that. So if you look at it, yes, the inflation has dipped. The generation mix between hydro and thermal has remained the same. But then if you look at the exchange rate, the cedi has depreciated marginally against the US dollar. So that contributes to the change in the tariffs. That electricity tariffs are now 3.49% up, and water tariffs are 0.85% up.
You talk about operational expenses. Looking at your calculations, do you think that these adjustments can cover up the operational expenses?
Well, the tariffs are both arts and a science. The science can tell you that 1 + 1 = 2. But then we look at social aspects of it. The commissioners, in their wisdom, can decide that, look, even though 1 + 1 = 2, given the living conditions of people, the conditions that are prevailing in the country, let's do 1 + 1 = say 1.5. So when that is done, then we communicate that to the consumers. Now, what we have now, we believe strongly that for now, this quarter, it can cover it. because we have an under recovery of the exchange rate. As Ziblim said, we used 11 cedis 19 pesos to the dollar to calculate the second quarter. This quarter, we are using 11 cedis 22 pesos to calculate the tariffs. So there's an under recovery. What we gave them lower than what pertains on the market. So we need to recover that. That's how come that we have the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar. And we are taking care of that. So by that, we have some 3.49%. We should be able to cover the cost of running the operations of the utility service provider over the next quarter, over the next 3 months.
And how much revenue are you expected to generate, and how will it improve electricity and water service delivery, if any at all?
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Hello, yes. So they're supposed to collect at least 2.7 billion cedis. ECG, for instance, is supposed to collect about 2.7 billion cedis on a monthly basis to be able to remain in business. So it all depends on how much is collected of that 2.7.
Okay. And what are your projections telling you?
Well, the commission intends that they should collect 98% of whatever that has been set for them. If they're able to collect 98% of whatever that has been set, then obviously that will cover for the operations of the service provider. So we expect that, and we are monitoring the services, we expect that they should be able to collect that 98% of whatever is that they sell.
Another thing of major concern is the introduction of a new tariff category for electric vehicle charging stations. What informed this decision, really? And how do you expect it to impact Ghana's transition to green energy?
Well, you know, the whole world is drifting towards green economy. So just as Ziblim said again, we are trying to reduce our carbon footprints. So as much as possible, we are trying to take a step ahead of the game. So we don't have to wait to get caught up in the sector. So what the PURC is doing is to make sure that we put in place measures that will encourage people to charge at their cars or their electric vehicles at a charging point instead of charging from homes. That's because if you want to charge from your home, it will be much more expensive than charging from a charging point. That has also been done in such a way that we want to bring on board investors who will be able to invest into the sector and also make sure that we will be able to drive people towards a green economy other than maybe going towards the carbon, or we want to phase out the carbon injection engines.
Okay, that's interesting, because others would say that wouldn't this be putting people off rather, because we are already trying to persuade people to transition to green energy, and now that these tariffs have been introduced, of course you've explained the rationale behind it, but others will argue that it will rather curtail our efforts to transition to green energy, don't you think?
Well, I don't think so, because if you look at it, if you want to power your car with fossil fuel, I think it will be much more expensive for you than using the electric vehicle. There are electric vehicles that if people charge for a whole week, it takes them. But I don't think that if people buy gas for a whole week, it's able to take them through the week. So there is still that opportunity to move towards a green economy using the tariffs.
I'm looking at some of the documents that you released earlier, and you mentioned in April that we're set to see a decrease in electricity tariff from the 1st of April earlier this year, with electricity rates dropping by an average of 4% and water by 3%. At that time, the PURC cited improved economic factors, which included a 6.78% reduction in the cedi-dollar exchange rate as the cause. Many are wondering what changed so quickly.
Yes, you just said it, that there was a 6.7% reduction or improvement, appreciation of the cedi against the dollar. Obviously, I told you that 60% of the cost is attributed to exchange rate. So that alone is able to pull down the tariffs. Any slight movement in the exchange rate goes to affect the tariffs, greatly. So exchange rate is a key factor and it's a key driving force behind the tariffs that we pay.
Dr. Eric Obute, thank you very much. He's the Director of Research and Corporate Affairs at the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, PURC. He has been explaining to us the reason behind why your electricity and water tariffs will be going up from July 1st. Away from that, starting today, all licensed firearm owners are required to enter a fresh verification regime as the government unveils sweeping new gun control measures. Under this new directive, firearm holders will undergo psychiatric assessment, gun screening, drug screening through the Narcotics Control Commission, and compulsory weapons use training scheduled at the National Police Training Center in Tesano, I beg your pardon, before their licenses can be revalidated. Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak says the reforms have become necessary due to critical gaps in the existing licensing system, including the absence of mandatory mental health screening. He spoke at a news conference a while ago.
The very affluent that come forward to register sidearms or firearms are now using them to commit suicide. In the last 2 months, we've seen increase in such individuals committing suicide with firearms that are registered. Because of that, from this afternoon, all permits that has been granted to any individual that you are holding a sidearm or firearm is hereby revoked. We are revoking that, and we are opening a window where everyone will have to come forward again to register or to re-register the gun, because we've changed the procedure. We've realized that there's a short gap in the registration procedure that we've been using. Some will say that why not wait till December? In 6 months, we could still save a lot more life. We've seen that people with mental health had already gone through and have the sidearm. Now we are introducing mental health. Before we give you the sidearm, we have to be sure that you have the mental stability to hold the firearms. We've also realized that people who are on drugs are also holding the arms, and they are legitimate because it's been registered. Now you have to go through drug tests to be sure that you are not on drugs before you can hold sidearms. And lastly, many of us have the guns, we don't even know how to use it. And sometimes accidentally in the house, we've seen those incidents where innocent persons are either injured or even killed, not because it's deliberate, because the person who is handling these guns himself is not trained.
As the Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, my colleague Michelle Latte was at that particular press conference. She's returned and is joining me in the studio with the very latest. Michelle, the Minister also addressed concerns about the use of private security guards or so. What did he say?
So he's been talking about the use of guns by these private security agencies. The major concern for him is that most of them register as private individuals to protect themselves, but they rather go and use it in their private agencies, which is prohibited. So he raised concerns about that and said that all those individuals identified going through that particular action will be prosecuted. We can listen to the Minister.
The private security organizations are prohibited from possessing or using firearms in accordance with Regulation 13 of LI 1571. What we've noticed is that people come forward to register private security organization. We grant them the permission, then they take individuals within their organization to register firearms as though they are using it for self-protection. Then they ended up using them for the organization. No private security organization is allowed to operate with firearm. So you cannot use your personal arrangement that has been granted you for personal protection to now use it to operate the organization. That is infringing the law, and we will adhere to the law and enforce it very strictly.
Michelle Latte is still with me in the studio. Michelle, the Minister has also been giving some timelines. What are they?
So the firearm owners, that's the private owners of firearms, they have 3 months to go through a re-registration exercise where you mentioned they are going to do the drug test, they are going to have their mental health being checked to ensure that they are mentally stable enough to handle these firearms, also going through some training, because they've noticed that a lot of people who own these firearms do not have the requisite knowledge on how to use it. So they have 3 months to go through all that process. If they refuse to do that, the ministry says they are going to track them down and ensure that they go through the process.
The next 3 months to do that. And then those who do not, because we are already on our data. That's why I said that we know Muntaka, when he registered, he gave us his contact, he gave us his address. We'll call to remind you. If you still don't, then we'll now come and take the gun from you, because then you don't want to use it. If you hit it, then now it becomes a criminal thing. Because we know it is with you. So we'll call you to come and go through the process. If you fail to do it, we'll come and collect it. If you decide to hide it, then now we'll manhunt for you and the gun. And when we get to that one, we'll have to prosecute you.
Well, the minister has also mentioned about a series of tests which will be conducted. I'm wondering which institutions are going to do those and who is even going to bear the cost?
So for the institutions that are going to handle this test, for the drug test, the Narcotics Control Commission is going to handle that, and the Mental Health Authority is going to handle the aspects of the psychiatric checks that will be done throughout this process. The training is going to be handled by the security agencies with the police. And for the bearing of cost, it goes back to the owners of the firearms.
It's true. So if someone has registered and currently he has an active registration, if it's going to re-register, is he or she going to pay another fee? For this year, you've already paid. You've already paid for 2026. So you are not going to be paying for 2026. But we are now going to add another windows, and with these 3 other windows: the mental health, the drug test, and then the training. Obviously, those ones will have to come with some additional costs. But we are even looking through to see what we can do to minimize, because our interest is not the fees. Our interest is the safety. So we are even in the discussion with the police, the Mental Health Authority, and the Narcotics Control Commission to make sure that even if those fees will come, they should be very minimal and should not be punitive or discouraging for people to be able to go through them. So be rest assured, those who have already paid for this year, you are not going to be paying another, fee. But that one will still stand for you, but just the additional actions are those that may require some fee payment.
Interior Minister Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak once again. Michelle is still with me in the studio. Michelle, what else has the minister been talking about? So the minister says that you're going to intensify enforcement efforts. So they are going to use intelligence-led operations across the hotspot areas they've identified that a lot of people smuggle firearms through. They are going to ensure that all those areas are being checked and they retrieve all the firearms that are brought in illegally and the ones that remain unregistered. You can listen to him.
With the expiration of the amnesty, security agencies will intensify intelligence-led operations, targeted searches and sweeps, surveillance of criminal networks. All illicit firearms will be confiscated, and offenders will face arrest and prosecution in accordance with the law. Additionally, an informant reward system will be activated to encourage citizens to provide credible information on illegal firearms. Government is also strengthening border control to combat the trafficking of illicit arms, ensuring a comprehensive and sustained response to the threat. Fellow citizens, the success of the gun amnesty program demonstrates that when given opportunity and information, Ghanaians will choose responsibility.
Let's get talking and bring in the Deputy Ranking Member on the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament. He's also the MP for Achema Kwangoma, Kofi Amankwa-Menu. Mr. Amankwa-Menu, welcome to the program. What do you make of the raft of measures announced by the Interior Minister earlier today?
Thank you very much, my brother. First of all, let me say good afternoon or evening to your cherished listeners. I have listened to excerpt of the press conference by the minister.
To a very large extent, I agree with him that people must go through training, people must be checked and all that. It is important. I believe that issuance of a license does not mean that you can have the gun and do whatever you want to do with it. The issuance and the handling of the gun must come with some responsibility. And so it is important that people go through, how a gun is used, the safety measures and all that, the drug test and all that. I agree. But where I differ a little bit with the minister is as the suspension of all licenses. I believe that for me appears to me to be an ad hoc solution to the problem. Is it because of the Addo Assafo's case? Many Ghanaians have perished because of people, handling guns. And so if we take one particular case to be a yardstick to suspend legitimate people who have licenses, then I believe that for me is a knee-jerk approach. Every year, one goes in to renew his or her license. And I believe that at that point of renewal, people must then meet certain standards, certain conditions before your license can be reissued. But if, because I registered my gun really in January, so if mid down the year, I'm being asked that your license has been suspended and that you have to go through certain processes because of Addo Assafo's case, I believe that is unfair. That really is unfair to people who are playing by the rule, to people who are handling the guns the proper way. But let us have in place, measures for people to go through training before, especially the handling of firearm, before your license will be renewed. First of all, why do we have to go? Ask yourself if even the institutions where we are being directed to go, to undergo this training and the test and all that, have the capacity to do that. Do we know? Because trust me, the number of people who have been issued with genuine licenses, I believe, I don't know the number, but I believe it's not going to be in the hundreds. It's going to be in the thousands. Do the institutions that are going to handle this have the capacity to do it within the stipulated, suspension period? I think that it is something that we need to think through it properly. Yes, the measures put in place, excellent. I don't have a problem at all. But how to go through it is something that needs to be thought through for people not, to go through. Because, look, I have a license. I want to go through it because if I don't go through it, in January, if I'm going to renew my license, it will not be renewed. But I don't have to suffer because Addo Assafo, there was an Addo Assafo's case, and in the first place, people have perished, like I said, because of, people manhandling firearms. Right. We did not have a knee-jerk approach. Why do we have to do this? Let the right thing be done. And when the right thing is done, I believe that every Ghanaian issued with a license will want to go through the right processes for his or her license to be renewed.
What then are you proposing the minister does?
I am proposing that instead of suspending the licenses of people who have been issued with a legitimate license, there should be a condition that by January, if you are going to have your license renewed, there are certain training, certain tests you have to undergo. And if you do not undergo those training and tests, your license will not be reissued to you. So then people have, about 6 months to go through all these things. So it will not be done in a rush and people will not be under some kind of pressure to go and queue to do this. But if you give them that before your license is renewed, you need to meet these conditions, I believe people will do that to have their licenses renewed.
There are also those who are raising the concern that this new verification process could be abused and become overly bureaucratic. Is that a concern that you're sharing?
Precisely what I am talking about. Because if it's not going to be bureaucratic, obviously one will not go and join queue and all that. But if you have, people can go through it within a certain life, a certain period, people will do it. Because like I said, if I'm going for my renewal in January and I have to meet certain conditions, I will meet the condition before I even go to have the license renewed. It should not be, because this has happened, this has been suspended, within 3 months you have to do this within. No, I believe that really will be unfair to those who so far have played within the rules.
Thank you very much. Kofi Amankwa-Manu, he is the Deputy Ranking Member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. You're still watching the pulse here on Joy News. Now, years of Joy News reporting on illegal mining along the banks of the Tano and Semere rivers show a strong link between years of degradation and the current flooding situation in Samraboy in the western region. Redirection of the Tano River and the siting of mining camps along and inside the flow paths of major rivers have been cited for the overflow, which is flooding several communities in the area. Erastus Asaridonko takes us back to 2021 and 22, pointing to causes of the current situation in Samraboy.
The past 1 week, we have been seeing footage, videos, pictures of devastating floods in Samraboy in the western region. Floods so serious, it has submerged a whole town. When you look at the main road connecting Samraboy to Inchi, and you look at the bridge, which was one very, very high on the Tano River, and you look at how floods have taken over side by side of the road, it tells you that there is really something wrong. These floods have not been seen for years, according to residents of the town. But this did not come without warning. Some of us have been sounding this warning since 2021. From late 2020 through 2021 through to 2024, Samraboy and its environs witnessed large-scale illegal mining, which went on for years. If you look at towns like Ohiampenika, and you look at towns like Datano, Insuachiri, Aboifie, and you see how illegal miners were able to redirect the path of the Tano River and use the immediate environs of the buffer of the Tano River for illegal small-scale mining. It tells you that these water bodies are just venting their spleen today, but they gave the warning signs way back, about 4 years from now. This place is called Atala. It's very close to Samraboy. We drove about 40 kilometers to get deep into the forest here. This is the Tano River, and I don't need to tell you, 2020, 2021, 2022, we saw an influx of both Chinese and our own citizens who were mining some inside the Tano River itself. If you remember in 2022, when we did the documentary Distraction for Gold, we pointed to how people, illegal miners, have redirected the course of the Tano River. In some instances, they were mining within the water itself. Some have redirected the course of the river and they were mining alongside it. When you go to Ohiampenika, you could see some of these things. How the Tano River has been redirected and exposed to illegal mining activities. That was a recipe for disaster. The disaster that we are seeing today. When you go to Datano, similar instances. When you go to the Samraboy town itself, just after the bridge, and you see how mining companies like Akonta Mining and others have redirected the course of the Tano River, how some of them were leaking mining residue into the river itself. We served a warning back then that this could lead climate consequences. And that is what we are seeing today. I remember very well in 2024 when the people of Nsuachiri, just close to Samreboy, demonstrated that they will not allow an individual to do illegal mining within their town because they fear that when it rains consistently, there will be flooding. The flooding that we are seeing today.
And ya kosensuo ebu ma nsuo mpo be 3 days mpo na ye de mbie ye ese ye sita no na sai nti ye nya nsuo afi the China for buyer dia ono de manwo mu kwan so mu ko ye adwuma awo ye kan sai China na no na nsuo na yiri na betu ya if de ye koda yes ye ni buafo wo baby abai bia mbo bua ye ha ye ti abai ye ni abai bia wa ha obebua ye semates adaroma ana ebo ye o ma ye nsuo ama ye dwane di nti yes ye ma na ye kan sai China for no ama me se kro no nkote no kro nti e wa ha nti demonstration e ye no ye be stop down no as adwuma na we ye be stop am.
Authorities did not back these people to drive the illegal miners away. In all these instances, we see authorities sitting idle and watching whilst people redirect the sources of great rivers like that close to homes like Samreboy. We have watched on and on for people to redirect the courses of great rivers, knowing very well that the consequences could be dire. Today, we are witnessing climate consequences coming out of years of illegal mining, years of nature crimes, which authorities fail to solve. In the past years, we've also seen some level of illegal mining along the airstrip. Some Chinese miners took over the fringes of the Tano River, mining and creating pits and gullies along the banks of the Samri and the Tano rivers. My sources tell me that part of the causes of the current flooding comes from one of such illegal mining escapades deep within the forest enclave, where they blocked the Samri River and blocked portions of the Tano River. And so when it rained heavily, what used to be the normal path of these two rivers has been blocked. And now the overflow is coming to town. We have served this warning for years. We have consistently reported on mining along the banks of the Tano River. If you look at these old footages, starting from 2021, if you look at these footages of mining back then, before we realized this flooding, you could see the level of pollution, the level of degradation along the banks of these two rivers. You can see the mining along the Tano River from Uhiampenika through to the Atano, through to Aboifie, and then all along the banks of the Tano River, along the airstrip and beyond, in Nsuachiri and other communities. Today, the entire Aboifie is flooded. The entire Nsuachiri is submerged. People are lodging in schools, school buildings, and others. This is the consequence of neglect. This is the consequence of authorities failing to heed to warnings about illegal mining along major rivers of our country. This should serve as a warning to anybody who is listening. There are countless communities across the country where illegal mining is being allowed along the various water bodies. Illegal mining is being allowed for people to redirect streams and rivers. When you go to Awudia, the entire Ankobra along that stretch is blocked totally for mining purposes. Previous governments sat aloof and watched their own citizens create problems that has caused a whole town to be submerged and facing difficulties. If we continue to allow people along the Ankobra, people along the Bia River, in Sefwijaboso, where similar things are happening. People along the Ofin, the Bremu, in the eastern region, and others to continue. Then we are in for more devastating floods to hit the country. A stitch in time saves 9. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has announced that the late former Foreign Affairs Minister, Ambassador James Beho, will receive special recognition during Ghana's 70th independence anniversary next year. Speaking during the ministry's visit to the Beho family residence following his passing, the minister described Ambassador Beho as an exceptional diplomat whose service, integrity, and contributions to Ghana's foreign policy will continue to inspire future generations.
And he's left a very profound legacy of distinguished public service. And we are very, very proud of the legacy that he's left at the ministry. I think Ghana's foreign ministry is strong today as the international reputation it has because of the sacrifices of Ambassador Beho, and he will be fondly remembered and missed as well. And as we mark the 70th anniversary of our independence in a few months from now, on the 6th of March next year, we will certainly have a special place for your family, for Ambassador Beho and all our predecessors who have really blazed the trail.
Let's shift our focus to the governing NDC because the party has cautioned to ensure that personal ambition does not undermine the unity and core values of the NDC as conversations about its next flag bearer begin to gather momentum. Speaking at an event commemorating the 79th birthday of the party's founder, former President Jerry Rawlings, former Information Minister and founding member of the NDC, Akufo-Addo urged members to remain committed to the principles of discipline, accountability and unity that defined Rawlings' leadership. The following report has more.
The National Democratic Congress, in collaboration with the J.J. Rawlings Foundation, commemorated the 79th birthday of its founder and former President Jerry John Rawlings. The event celebrated Rawlings' contribution to Ghana's democratic development and reflected on the values of discipline, accountability and unity that championed throughout his political life. As the party looks ahead to a future leadership transition, former Information Minister Akufo-Addo cautioned members against following personal ambitions to undermine the collective interests of the NDC.
The story of President Jerry John Rawlings, of Professor John Evans Atta-Mills, and President John Mahama is one continuous story, the story of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. What comes next must not be a departure from the story, but a continuation of it. Building on the legacy of unity, stability, and development, for which we celebrate Rawlings today.
Meanwhile, legal practitioner Tatu Chikata called on party faithful to embrace accountability, integrity, and selfless service, insisting that the principles espoused by Rawlings must continue to guide the party.
The Fourth Republic, which was inaugurated by J. Rawlings, has provided the longest period of stable constitutional democratic order for the country. And we in the NDC must be proud of it. We must guard it jealously, but we must not take it for granted, especially when there have been signs of increasing loss of confidence in politicians by ordinary citizens. Within the ranks of the NDC, we must hold each other accountable to our ideals. So, Probity and accountability indeed form the bedrock of the work of national reconstruction, restoration of confidence in politicians, but probity and accountability are not sufficient. Nation building, economic development tasks are not about rhetorical slogans. They involve hard work, smart decision making, and the building of institutions.
The commemoration brought together party executives, supporters, and admirers to reflect on the enduring legacy of the late former president and the continued relevance of his vision for national development.
Well, the government has reaffirmed its commitment to technical and vocational education and training as a key driver of Ghana's industrial transformation. At the commissioning of a girls' dormitory at St. Paul Technical Institute in Kukrentumi, Education Minister Haruna Idrisu called for a review of the TVET curriculum to integrate digital skills and green innovation to better prepare trainees for the evolving job market.
Held under the theme Empowering Youth Through Practical Entrepreneurship, the project provides learners with hands-on experience in product development, business planning, financial management, and customer engagement, skills that translate directly into employability and self-reliance. Speaking on the sidelines of the event, the Ashanti Regional Director of the Ghana TVET Service, Engineer Richard Adojemfi, said the initiative is timely as Ghana expands TVET to make it more attractive and aligned with the industry needs. He stressed that schools should serve not just as centers of learning, but as hubs for innovation, grit, and enterprise.
We want to make teaching and learning of entrepreneurship very practical, right? That is why, as part of the program, we introduce school enterprise projects. If you are teaching and learning entrepreneurship, we want the school to establish business based on the environment, the strengths, and the weaknesses, or the SWOT analysis that carry out within the school environment for you to identify viable business opportunities where you involve students in the project. With this, we introduce entrepreneurship clubs in the school, and the students are part of every enterprise activity that takes place within the school.
Engineer Adojemfi further revealed that Ghana is witnessing growing interest in TVET, signaling a gradual shift in Ghanaians' perceptions towards skills-based careers and entrepreneurship. This development, he said, reflects evolving attitudes toward technical and vocational education and training.
That perception out there is gradually changing. 21st century is about skills. And this is where the jobs are. So if you look at what is happening, if you look at the enrollment statistics over the year for the past 5 years also, the demand for TVETs in Ghana now is increasing. And our institutions cannot even absorb the prospective applicants, people who apply or who choose to enroll in TVET institutions. So it is changing, because whilst people are chasing for jobs, jobs are also there looking for people to come.
Rand Academy's founder and programs director, Lizzie Lambie, noted that Ghanaians possess a strong entrepreneurial spirit, often demonstrating resilience and ingenuity in creating opportunities.
I'm a Ghanaian myself, and I believe Ghanaians are natural entrepreneurs. We're always doing something small on the side, but we're not using it as an enterprise. We're not calling it an enterprise, and we're not making it into a bigger business that can be sustainable. So yes, I do think the youth are ready. I think the issue is personal confidence. I don't think I can do it.
Rand's passport was also launched to bridge the gap between TVET students and employers. Francis Mensah's report for Joy.
Ochehene Osajifo Amotia Oforipenyi has praised the leadership of Garden City University for championing educational innovation and development in the country. During a courtesy call by the university's new leadership, the Ochehene encouraged a shift from natural resources to dependence on human capital as a path to Ghana's development. The Ochehene commended the intellectual contributions of the private university to national progress. Here's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
A delegation from Garden City University formally introduced the university's new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Eric Kwesi Ofori, a native of Chebi, to the Ochehene Osajifo Ametia Ofori penning. The visit was to extend an invitation for him to serve as special guest of honor at the VC's investiture scheduled for July 9.
Ocheman doesn't have a bustling business city, but we have intellectual capital contributing to Ghana's resources. So, I am not surprised one of our own is representing brightly in Asanteman, advancing education in Ghana. When you are appointed, there is a score sheet that will be used to assess your success and failure, and all of it will depend on your effectiveness and honesty. The success of every country is always often attributed to education. We need leaders who will be honest. Development and success of countries now is not material, not the gold or oil.
The university's new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Eric Kwesi Ofori, expressed gratitude for the guidance and support from Ocheman leadership.
Match here, second match, and I said, I say, it's about in free.
I started work in March, hoping that the good training I received from home would be employed in my leadership of Garden City University. We have been to Menchia to receive the blessing of Otumfo. The reception was delightful. It has become important that I come back home to Osajifo to appreciate him for his guidance and support. I won't disappoint Ocheman. We will do our best.
With a student population of about 14,000, Garden City University has established itself as a leading institution with a strong focus on business and health sciences education. Ochehene emphasized that the focus on education will guarantee the country's success. For Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Bukbele's basic school has long faced severe infrastructure challenges, with local leaders saying the conditions have contributed to children drifting into illegal mining over the years. Sisala East MP Mohammed Issa Bataglia links the problem to deep-rooted gaps in education infrastructure that continue to affect learning in the community. That narrative is now shifting as Ghana Petroleum Mooring Systems has begun a redevelopment project under its corporate social responsibility program aimed at improving classroom space, sanitation, and access to clean water to support teaching and learning. Joy News' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafik Salam reports.
In Bukbele, hope has been squeezed into one classroom. 80 pupils, one teacher, no desks, no water. For years, that was the reality at Bukbele Basic School. Babu Ernest, a science teacher at the school, described the daily struggle.
The enrollment level is so high that in a school, in a class, sorry to say that, it is very difficult for a teacher to even manage the class. Class control is always a problem. Even movement sometimes become a very big issue. Asking students to keep quiet is a problem. Marking books is an issue. Even at our assembly ground, it's difficult to control. Not just at the GHS alone, but from the primary school up to the GHS, since it is just a one school. Water is also a problem. Students have to move around and then leave school and drink water.
The condition forced many children out of class. Some abandon books for galamsey pits. Others joined the drift south to Accra and Kumasi. Member of Parliament for Sosala East, Mohamed Issa Batalia, said the crisis was driving pupils away.
The convergence point for the young ones to move from here to Accra or Kumasi or other southern parts of this country to seek for jobs that do not exist. They don't just come with sickness, but they come as burden to the already impoverished families they have here. Before, we have a lot of them in school. Most of them are being driven by these shortcuts that do not serve as a good thing for everybody. The young ones and the male are now beginning to see galamsey and shortcuts to be the principal. So even if you go to the classrooms, you see that a lot of them are moving out of the classroom because one, the classroom is not conducive. Number two, it's not attracting. Number three, they think that they can make it quick to be able to save themselves, but it ends up bringing problem to all of us. Today, GPMS is not bringing the entire solution, but at least I can say 80% to 90% of the solution is being brought here.
But last Thursday, the story changed under the Bobale sun. Leaders and Ghana Petroleum Modern Systems, GPMS, gathered for a groundbreaking ceremony. They came with pickaxes and shovels, not just speeches. Despite the over 800 children in the community-based school, 80 packed in each of the classrooms, yet parents refuse to give up on school. Board chairman of TOR, Nayon Bilijo, quoted the GPMS general manager to explain the reason.
Said these children, these innocent souls, they are the reason why we are doing all this. And it is important to take that into consideration. That we are not doing this for ourselves, we are not doing this for others who are grown like me, but we are doing this for the very innocent ones who, after a week, will not even remember why they came and sat here.
A GPMS CSR official, Gift Ofori, said the community's commitment convinced them to invest.
And we chose Bugubele community because most of the communities we have visited, we do have students, but this community, we're impressed with the number of people who are interested in being in school in spite of the situation in the community. We have about 800 students in one classroom, and we thought that is something that we are willing to invest in the future of the community. So that's why we are here. So we expected that by December we'll be back here to do the handing over of the project.
The project is clear: 9 fully furnished classrooms, 10 unit toilets, and a mechanized hall, all funded by GPMS. 6 months to build. Handover set for December 2026. For Sosala East Mayor Adamu Yakubu, the project brings relief to overcrowded classrooms and poor sanitation.
We are prepared to collaborate and support any other agency that is ready to partner us in developing our communities, especially in the field of education. I want to once again commend GPMS and the Member of Parliament for this gesture. Why? Because if you look at the whole nation, we have similar cases at other places. But we were choosing to be giving such an edifice for our community.
From one crowded room to rooms for hope, GPMS and Bobele's message is simple: own it, protect it, and fill it with the future of Ghana. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Bobele.
Not long ago, lessons at Kantu DA Basic School in the Wa West District were regularly disrupted by rain and unsafe classrooms. Well, today, pupils are learning in a completed 6-unit classroom block after sustained community advocacy and renewed government action transformed the school. Emmanuel Jivani reports in episode 4 of Crumbling Start Season 2.
A year ago, this was difficult to imagine. Today, pupils of Kantun DA Basic School in the Wa West District are learning in bright, permanent classrooms that have replaced years of studying under trees and in unsafe structures. For the children, school has become a place they look forward to each morning.
Before you came here, we were using a block very far from that place. The block was very, very wretched. The roofing was all spoiled. We were in the classroom. Most of the time we were under tree. And when it rained, we had it very tough teaching. And when the weather is like this and the wind is blowing, learning becomes very, very difficult.
When Joy News first visited Kantun, the school's biggest challenge was not the willingness to learn. It was the environment. An unfinished classroom block had stood abandoned for years. Rains regularly interrupted lessons. Teachers improvised, and children endured the harsh conditions. Today, the story has changed.
When we visited, and then we had the support from the MP, so he came to innovate our previous classroom, and later we moved there. This building you are seeing now, it wasn't innovated at first. It was left ajar. But now when you came in and the support came, they have innovated it. Therefore, we moved from that place and came here. So we will say that you have done very well.
The completed classroom block did not happen by accident. Following Joy News' first report, School for Life continued working with the school and the community through its citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness project, CLARE. Parents, teachers, the school management committee and the PTA, as well as traditional leaders. Together, they identified challenges, engaged duty bearers, and followed up on commitments. The result is the new 6-unit classroom block with offices and store.
When it comes to the impact, let me start with enrollment. Children or people now see the need of coming because they enjoy the structure, and when they come, they have so much comfort, and now they are learning with ease. And moreover, so I would say that it has really helped in enrollment in some aspects. If not 50%, let's say 45%, which is a credit, and it is good. So the enrollment is good. With the teaching and learning, at first we were not having board, the blackboard, we were not using it. When you came, you supplied us with Formica board, and then we were using that one temporarily. But when the building was innovated, now my teachers can use the board, and we can teach so well, and students are participating in everything we do.
For PTA Chairman Bani Dombambari, community participation begins before the school bell rings. Every morning, he walks through the community, encouraging children to report to school. Education, he says, changed other people's life, and he wants it to change the lives of children in Kantun too.
School, yeah. And we for eco school, no. Now, yeah, I'm quite school, different room. Different rooms, maybe Salam Cough, now no school. But some son of Quack, I said, now me cough room and quack da. The student, the end of the minute to the end of woman, the school.
If there is any SMC and PTA who are functioning, I would say mine is one of them. They are very, very collaborating with us. They help us in many, many ways. When we have issues and we call on them, they just come in. When we have challenges and we trade to them, they go back to the community, solicit for help, and then they come to our aid. So for my SMC and my PTA, they are doing very, very well. The PLC, we intend to engage most of the stakeholders, like the PTA and the SMC, and those who are involved in developing the school. And with this, if we think that there are any challenges in the school or even in the community at large, we involve them. And then they also assist us, and then we all plan ahead and discuss how we can make situations better.
Eyes. Nose.
Inside the classrooms, however, one important challenge remains. The new buildings now need enough furniture to match them. Many young people still write while sitting on the floor.
No desks, no nothing. They will just like that when you are teaching, because they are sitting on the floor. They will be beating one another, chasing one another. You have to stop teaching, control them before you start again. Especially when it is time for them to write. They will be lying on the floor with their uniforms. Even as they are kids, some of them will realize on where they are set, to place it on the floor and lie on it before they can write. And the way they mingle with their debt, when you are to mark their books, you find it very difficult to mark. The pen will not flow. And always, we are always dirty teachers, dirty children.
We've realized that furniture is an issue because we cannot hand over that magnificent building without furniture, because the children need furniture to sit. We've realized that there's inadequate furniture in the school, and as I've told you, we are making plans within the shortest possible time. When the furniture is ready, definitely we will serve Kantu some of the furniture for the children to use.
And so then they'll be learning on the floor.
Oh, they will not be. There are some few furniture available, so we plead that they make use of that one. I'm quite aware of the situation, and when I went there, I told them that Kantu is one of the schools that has been prioritized for a district because of the work we've done there, so that we need to follow it up with furniture to make it complete for improved learning and teaching.
The classrooms may be new, but Kantun's biggest achievements cannot be measured in blocks or roofing sheets alone. It is a community that has become part of the solution. Parents are now following up on attendance. Teachers are engaging families. Community leaders are advocating for the school, and duty bearers are responding to the challenges. For years, Kantun waited for change. Today, it is helping to drive it. The next chapter is already clear, ensuring that every child who now has a classroom also has a desk to learn. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Kantu, Wa West District, Upper West Region.
The pulse returns after this break.
Innovation, research, and engineering are driving solutions for a sustainable future. The University of Energy and Natural Resources, in collaboration with Joy News, presents the International Conference on Energy and Engineering 2026 under the theme Engineering the Future, Energy, Agriculture, and Infrastructure Innovations towards Climate Resilience and Sustainable Development. The conference comes up from 30th September to 2nd October. Ahead of the International Conference on Energy and Engineering, join us this Friday on the AM show as we discuss how engineering, technology, and innovation can help Ghana respond to climate change challenges, from strengthening agriculture and food security to building sustainable systems, with insights from Dr. Naomi Kumi, Senior Lecturer, Department of Atmospheric and Climate Science, Vice Dean of Students, UNM, Dr. Kwabena Atakra, Senior Lecturer, Department of Horticulture and Crop Production, UNE, and Dr. Ebenezer Kwejo Siabi, Research Fellow and Lecturer, Earth Observation Research and Innovation Center, Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. On the AM show, live on Joy News.
On PM Express, power is confronted, claims are tested, and accountability is not optional.
The first 2 months in office between January, February, and March, we had already brought down this rate, and then we have sustained it since.
Politics, business, the economy, social justice. If it affects your life, it will be examined. If it shapes your future, it will be interrogated.
You ever sitting there today and you see me sweating, I'm answering your question, you in the comfort of your chair putting all these questions to me. That is why you would not have the responsibility of bringing about this document.
No safe spaces for evasion, no comfort in half-truths, just facts, pressure, and the courage to stay with the question. until the answer comes. Your word says,
my words were,
those
listen,
on Compact Plus, you pay 570 and you get more channels.
Evans,
that moves you.
This is the speech.
To the
speech I read yesterday is what I'm holding here. You didn't read the speech. You didn't write it. I wrote it and I read it.
Because democracy demands scrutiny and the public deserves clarity. When the day's noise fades and the nation needs understanding, there is PM Express on Joy News. Independent, fearless, credible.
Welcome back to the Pulse. Let's go on Zoom right now and speak to the Director of School for Life, Wadad Sayibu, on the back of the story we showed you before we went on the break. Wadad, welcome to the program. Kantu DA Basic School, as we've seen, demonstrates what can happen when communities organize and engage duty bearers. How does this reflect the philosophy behind the CLARE project?
Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon to your cherished listeners and viewers. In terms of the alignment of what we have just seen to our vision and philosophy as an organization, and specifically the project, the Citizen-Led Action for Educational Accountability and Responsiveness, Ghana's project's philosophy and vision, is that primarily the School for Life focus is to empower local communities, citizens, to demand accountability and demand action from duty bearers. And specifically, the CLARE project follow this primary vision and mission of the organization, in that the primary objective of the project is to, as the name goes, is to put citizens at the center or the lead in driving accountability processes, especially when it comes to demanding accountability from duty bearers in respect of the provision of education.
Right.
So essentially, getting citizens to mobilize and rally stakeholders to respond to their specific needs and challenges is the key, or is at the heart of the work that School for Life does, and is at the center of the citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness in Ghana. It is about ensuring that citizens are at the forefront of ensuring that the government, education sector actors become more responsive to the needs and challenges of the local people.
Right. CLARE project is really about more than delivering infrastructure. How does the project build the capacity of communities to identify problems, engage authorities, and really demand accountability themselves?
Yeah, rightly so. The CLARE project is not, it's not a project that is to deliver, social services. Service delivery is primarily an advocacy project. It's primarily a project that seeks to empower communities. That's to maybe as it were teach the communities how to fish rather than giving them the fish. The fish. Right. And essentially, what it means is that it's about ensuring that the people who are the right holders, the local community, citizens who are the right holders, understand their rights to education, understand what they need to do and also the spaces are created for them to be able to engage with the duty bearers. So it is about letting them understand that the government of the day is responsible for the provision of these essential services, like infrastructure, like furniture, like deployment of other teaching resources, including teachers, to the schools. And that when these communities' roles and responsibilities then is to ensure that the government are actually living up to their mandate, living up to their responsibilities for providing that. So what we do as a project and as an organization, School for Life, is to enhance or build their capacities, drawing their attention to these to relevant information, and also enable working with institutions and other stakeholders to create the spaces where they can directly engage with the duty bearers who should be responsible for providing this. So what we do is to let them understand this and also support them by ensuring that the necessary channels and avenues through which they can send their demands, sell their challenges, and get them answered are actually done. Our project basically is essentially to unlock the spaces of dialogue, unlock the spaces of negotiations, create that interfaces between local communities and the duty bearers so that important discussions are had at this level, so that the communities are able to present their demands, to present their needs to them, and constantly also negotiate and remind them, the duty bearers, of the need to provide that. So essentially what we do is basically that, building capacity building, mobilizing the critical mass of the local communities who can bring pressure, as it were, to bear on the duty bearers to respond to some of these needs. Another thing that we do in relation to enhancing communities' capacity to be able to respond to their own needs is basically, in addition to demanding, to the fact that they are also capable of contributing and to addressing some of these needs, some of these challenges by themselves. So essentially, sometimes when before the government even come, as they send their demands and their needs to the government, before they respond, communities are also currently being also supported to mobilize themselves to begin to respond to some of the challenges that, or to address some of the challenges that are within their reach, whilst they wait for the big issues that the government should be tackling.
Interesting. With that, and looking across the districts where CLARE has been implemented, what common changes have you seen in the relationship between communities and the local government?
The changes are huge in a lot of the communities that we have worked with, we have worked in, or we are working in, even currently, is that we have seen areas where communities and local stakeholders, the local assembly, and then the district education directorate are having some kind of cordial conversations and negotiations where even the duty bearers, the GES staff, local assembly staff, are now creating those spaces of dialogue for community. They are listening to them, and we've had in one of the communities where one of the community members indicated that before our project came to their communities, most of the time they try getting the local assemblies, getting them to listen to them. Sometimes they even go there and then they are told the MC or the DC is not around, almost all the time. But because of the spaces, because of the dialogue spaces we have enabled or we have supported, facilitated to create,
hello with that.
This man had the testimony. You see the MC? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was just saying that there's a testimony from one of the community members who said that because of the program, because of the CLARE project, and the fact that our focus has been in facilitating spaces of negotiation, spaces of dialogue and conversation with the powers that be at the local level, communities are now able to engage. They are now getting access to even the MCEs, the district directors of education, district coordinating directors, to present their demands, or if you like, their needs, and get them addressed. And this somehow is contributing to even confidence and empowering these communities. So there's this kind of like friendly conversations among Titi Berry and local on the local people, where even now, hitherto, you will hardly see local assembly actually looking forward to having engagement sessions with the communities. Now they are very enthusiastic about that, and they also themselves has actually even in some district coordinating directors, DCEs have actually given testimony to the fact that the CLARE project has actually brought them closer to the community, which they like, and that they are really, I mean, it is contributing in actually also shape their priorities and as decision makers in the district.
Amazing
so I think that
amazing stuff you've been doing there. With that, Sayibu is the director of a School of Life. Thank you very much. Let's now take you live to the 37 Military Hospital, where former Gender Minister Sarah Adjosafo, we understand, is currently receiving treatment. Her family is about to address the press.
Sabe, onwani nua bema, ene ne bodyguards abonituo nshranka nyamesafo ene ne yankopon din se etuo ni bi anka no anka sabre ka ya hradwoa anka Ghana anka yansan anti asempa biem me hu ne se esese atemuafo ene sabe Ghana a police for almost some way, no mudi ye at 2 years. Man who say Yama or Mubel na mesre, Sam Yama pepe peye, and ye juma, a wo my ganemu. Sansen ya samana ye cano, a yo wasem bulletin kwa 48 Sabe Anka Juanka wa kumni pampo, and now wa biadia. Anka odasani mbunko to dwengeji se otiniti ana obonituo akuno Ghana ehifa na yekoi mesre mpanyimfo police mpanyimfo ya papa GP ene court mpanyimfo sa samu we na da ho no moma ye pepepe ye ne nokredie emrem say samuma omube na ya nam hokra esuro wo yemu sanse onipa wa ya na dwen se obedi bone no say ye hwesa nipa ni ye adwa sabi onya kromfo odoni nua pa odoni nua kwadwa akofna odono meka so no mpo ana tete no adwa ontaya akofna na sasabi ni nua ba no na okoni nua ba mafia esese ye boni tu ana esese ye hwehwe so obewu ana enti mesre se be na ye de ama omo no empanyifo hwe ne yie na omo fa yie ntu yie na omo ma pepepe ye ne nokore enye adwuma na Ghana Eya bebre dodo. Aya no kredie no edu baabi a na eho asam ka eya ye den. Empanyimfo monhwɛ sɛ no kre bɛyɛ adwuma. Me pesa me kasa bebre. Fisa asam na ɛda hɔ no. Yansunu mu te baabi a ona boda no. Eyampaye na yɛbɔ. Wapra nanim nyina asɛe ona boni ahomeka enti yɛnhwɛ sɛ sanka owuya anka sabe be na aba no anka ona bo wawukwa anka wawukwa a onya obia enjina nanamu sɛ obema atemuo ayɛ ne dia yɛbɛsrɛ empanyifo ya papa apostle Kodwo Safo onye nipa bi akeke o onye nipa hunu bi keke papa no oye nyame a osane ba asase so ya pesa na chi be ye basa abusua nyina na ya twen se anka da bi beba na ye bepa ye papa kurabre na afei yakobie sabene nsamanse krata so na ya hwe ne papa no etwere oye ana okato ho na yade eno aya adwuma sa ye kwadwo na papa hworo se anka obesi nanan a anka obia ni ho asamoka anka ye nyina ye de odo ene akomapa ebeta ye nua be ma na chi ama na tsena akonwa so na wadi papa de na waye papa adwuma sadia oja hokoye na so ye nya papa kurabre adan ana nipa pre ne ho na wafa ono ane kwan so na waye nia ewo se oye a enfata kwan na enya nia papa ka to ho anka moto mobu a na anka babua pa na ya pre ya ho dodo ya pentam dodo ya kasa ya ma ya ho kwan se ye be sori atena konwa so na wiase wo hoi me yo hima se wan to bo ama busua ana ya mfa baabi ade danto a efrito se wa wuso ho hina sabe wa hinche efrito bedwem wa pro ho kwadwo wa ye ne ani kwa se wo ye unu adwasafo a unim se onu ni asem na na hima adwo afiri ye onu ni asem nti oba ufi a kwadwo eye tuotuo eye kum kwadwo wama ye sunu mu ate wate wama ye diarewo wama sama haye nti kan mame sare wuya kwadwo nti kebeye wode menya so san kebeye wode obonsam oba ufi a onkra o na obedi ni dwuma wia no free wu mu kwa obahu sa na wani so ada ho eti mesre me kasa bebre mesre nyame ye nyina ye nyankopon nyame safo se o mana ni nkune ba no no sa ne yare sadi adwoa e ka se etuo ni ba pe na light bi aso wani ni so na wahu sa dada gina ho etuo ni ba pe na dada age sadi oji tuo na wa ma bi anka ne ba no ono ankasa nye otemuafo na onye doctor panyini anti doctors ya omo hwe no achi na onsa ne ba ne yare na omma atemuo papa emra ma ne ba no medam aseme kasa bebre
na ukufika na wale chese be na wama no edemo life
to chacha
wani nyibe na wode amana
da bi fi se da bi ayane ne nam ye ne na hima ne nam esimpanyimfo ayie enti samuma mu bela na ye so chese ye life e da danger ye be srempanyimfo ye sada ye nsayem moma pepepe enye adwuma mumu atentene medamu ase
omi na sisi a honorable odahin ena ye te say bullet ni bi rewura ni ti say na no
bullet 4 and a ride so see our 37 military hospital a hono wo mejidi se beba ne sa fi se esese omoye surgery a ebema ne ho atono pacho medas.
So, Ken, that is one of the aunties of Addo Asafo talking to us live from the 37 Military Hospital, basically breaking down some of the things that have unfolded since this particular issue began. And some of the things that she's been talking about is the fact that they are not happy with the decision of the court to grant these persons bail because the fear that maybe they could, do other things that could endanger their lives. So they are not happy with the decision of the court to grant the brother of Addo Asafo, Israel Kojo Safo, and the 8 other persons bail at the Adentan Circuit Court. She also wants, in fact, not just her, but the family wants the IGP, the court, to do the right things. In fact, they should make sure that this case is handled properly in order to make sure that it gets to its logical conclusion. She also spoke about the fact that Addo Asafo is someone who will not hurt his own her own brother. This is someone that she loves so much and wouldn't do anything that would endanger the life of her brother. So it is quite unfortunate that her own brother would take this particular step by, allegedly firing shot together with some of his security guards at his residence, which has led the situation or brought the situation to this particular point. She also said that the late Apostle Kojo Safo Kantanka was a very respected person, and they do not want anything to be done that would dent that hard-earned reputation that he's built over the years. So basically the reason behind this press briefing this afternoon or this evening, Ken, is the fact that they are not happy with the decision of the Adentan Circuit Court to grant the 9 persons bail. I was there at the court. They were granted bail in the sum of 500,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties not to be justified, and the family this evening is not happy with all of that. And Ken, I must put on record that I went into the ward where Addo Asafo is currently in. She wouldn't talk to us on record, but she appears to be in a very serious condition. And one thing I must say is the fact that, according to her, she did not fire any shots. She will never do that. She doesn't own a gun. In fact, that's something that she clearly spoke about, and she said that she's quite, surprised or perplexed by the news going around that she fired the first shot once she got to the entrance of her brother's residence and all of that. She also said that based on the assessment made by the hospital authorities, they told her that there are still some bullet pellets still stuck in her head, and at the moment the family will not tell us directly that they are going to take her abroad for medical care. But then what we're hearing is that this is something that the family may consider if it becomes critical, because they believe that Addo Asafo is a critical member of their family, and they need to ensure that her health, her situation will not be taken lightly. So basically, this is the situation here at the 37 Military Hospital, where former Member of Parliament for Domi Kwabena and also former Gender Minister Sarah Addo Asafo is at the moment, after that very critical incident which happened on Sunday. And many of the family members are still inside the hospital. I also spotted former Deputy Finance Minister Abena Osei-Asare, who herself isn't happy with the developments at the family of the late Apostle Kojo Safo Kantanka.
Quite an unfortunate incident there, Fatal Bayaga, but you've been giving us a bit of the responses from Sarah Addo Asafo, even from her sick bed. I'm curious to find out, is this something that she said herself? Did she write it? Did she say it through somebody? Because listening to the auntie, she appears to be in a very, very critical condition. Was she able to speak to you by mouth? Hello, Fatal. You tell us that Sarah Addo Asafo has denied ever firing a gun. She's actually denied owning a gun. And I want to find out from you, how did that communication get to you? Did she say it by mouth? Did she write it? Was it said through somebody else? Because from the narration that was given by her auntie, it appears that she's in a very, very critical condition.
Ken, I must say authoritatively that Adjo told a team of 5 media persons who went into her ward where she's being camped at the moment. I was part of these journalists who went in there, and she was quite confident. In fact, based on how she spoke to us, you could clearly see that her condition is still critical. But then she told us that she never fired any shot. In fact, the first thing she said is that I do not own a gun, I did not shoot a gun, and I will never shoot a gun. She said that she was a member of parliament. I mean, a lot of things happen, and she, in fact, never, owned a gun, because when she was going to her brother's residence, in fact, if she was someone who wanted to do anything like that, she could have probably gone there with a security guard or something. But she didn't go there with anyone. She was just alone, and in fact, she also responded to allegations that she, in fact, drove and was forcefully trying to open the gate into the residence. She denied that. She said, in fact, the nature of how the car is, it would have, the impact would have been palpable on the vehicle. But if you go and check the situation or the condition of the car at the moment, you will clearly see that she never did anything like that. Those were just allegations by by his brother, just to dent her reputation. And also, what we understand from the family is that Adjo was simply driving there to serve them a court injunction on a purported installation ceremony that was being held at the residence, and that she wasn't going there in any way to endanger the life of her brother. So basically, Adjo, who was at the hospital clad in a wine dress, still there are marks all over her face, clearly devastated by the incident, which has since drawn widespread attention from across the country. Said the reason why they are speaking to the press. In fact, Ken, even before the reason, what we heard from the family was that Adjo herself wanted to address the press. She wasn't really happy, even though currently on her hospital bed, wasn't happy with the news going around, particularly the decision of the court to grant her brother bail and the 8 other persons. And that was simply the reason why she wanted to address the press and to let the nation know the truth regarding this particular incident. So basically, that has been the response of Adjo to all the developments that have been unfolding since last day, Sunday, in relation to this particular incident. So So that's the situation, Ken, at the moment.
Fatau Bayaga, thank you very much. Live on scene from the 37th Military Hospital, where the former gender minister and former MP for Domi Kwabenya, Sarah Adjo, is currently receiving treatment. This has been The Pulse. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. And do not forget to say a prayer for the Ghana Black Stars, who are in action later tonight against the 3 Lions of England. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good evening.